Have you ever had a song just playing on a loop in your head all of a sudden? It could have been a song that you just heard while you were out at the store on the radio. It could be something that you haven't heard like in days, weeks, months. Maybe something that was just triggered, like you were out, you saw a flower, and now this song is playing in your head. So, like Despacito. Um, Ra 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 Roma Roma ma. That's one. Not like us. So just to name a few. Jeepers, creepers. Where'd you get those peepers? So there is actually a word for when this happens. So this is called involuntary musical imagery, better known as an earworm. And there are actually real reasons behind why these songs get stuck in our head. So that's what we are going to talk about today. Again, y'all, bear with me. You'll see me looking at my notes from time to time. So let's just jump right in. First point that I want to touch on is one of the aspects that makes something into an earworm, as well as what can make it actually get stuck in our heads, if that makes sense. So, first thing is going to be repetition. So not only is this talking about like repetition and us hearing the song itself over and over, but also in like the makeup of the song. So songs that repeat something over and over and over again, like work, 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 work. It's a me, I feel work, work. You work, 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 work. That's something that's super easy for you to remember and to get stuck in your head. So to piggyback off of that, another thing that makes a song a good candidate, if you will, for being an earworm is something that has like kind of simple melodic structure, something that's easy for you to hum. Let me think. Like y'all probably know what songs I'm singing right now. So, something like that that's easy for you to hum, doesn't take a whole lot of brain power for it to like run in the background of your mind, if that makes sense. An example that is not really like a popular song today, but is Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. La 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 la. So if you listen to a whole lot of different nursery rhymes, they all go off of that same melody. A B C D E F G. Not Mary Had a Little Lamb, but y'all get what I'm saying. There's a couple of other ones as well. Old MacDonald Had a Farm is similar. It's a little bit different, but so you'll see that they use that a lot in nursery rhymes or like children's songs. Baby shark, do 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 do, like the little earworm formula is used a lot for kids songs because it makes it easier for them to remember. There actually is a psychological aspect around that, a certain part of your brain. Hold on, let me get into my notes and remember what it is. So yeah, that repetition and earworms actually triggers the auditory cortex and default mode network of your brain. So that is the part of your brain that keeps running and controlling things that you are not actively focusing on at that moment, if that makes sense. So it kind of takes care of what's running in the background. And that part of your brain responds a lot to patterns. So thought that was very interesting. And simple melodies usually do have a basic pattern in them, so it makes it easier for that part of your brain to like continue running that song over and over on a loop. Next thing is going to be an upbeat tempo. So, and this doesn't apply to like all earworms. It's not like a one size fits all thing because it still is going to be individual to like a certain person as well, what they are going to be particularly susceptible to. But in general, a lot of songs that are earworms have a specific tempo of between 120 and 160 beats per minute, which actually falls on par with our body's like natural rhythm of movement. So thought that was very interesting. Another thing is another, element of the song is some point of surprise. So of course, when I was reading this, first thing that came to my mind is trying to strike a chord, and it's probably a minor. Like not all that moment in the song, not only the shock of what he said, but taking that specific moment and like stretching out the A minor to like let it really, really sink in. I know I'm not the only one that was like A minor, and then kept singing it. That is a good example. Can't think of another earworm at the moment that has like a big shock in it like that. Oh, what's it called? N words in Paris. So that's another one. The point when they cut it and the little blurb comes in from the movie like no one knows what it means. It's provocative. It gets the people going. That's another good example of like adding a shock factor into a song that's already catchy. That's another one. Boss So Hot. That's another good example of like a earworm. And the last like little piece would be repetitive lyrics. So, like we said earlier, more than just repetition in the song and the melody and things like that, but actually the lyrics themselves as well. Make it easier to remember. We have short attention spans, so that is a great recipe for an earworm. Next thing is going to be familiarity. So that kind of goes along with the repetition. If it's a song that we are hearing a lot, if you're going to the grocery store and it's always playing at the grocery store, every time you turn on the radio, it's there. And this one I feel like is a good like explanation of how a song can become an earworm or a song can get stuck in your head, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good song or that you like the song. Like Flowers. You cannot convince me that that song was not the result of payola. I have not met one single person in real life who was like, ooh, I love that song, Flowers. Ooh, let me turn on Flowers by Miley Cyrus. No, the song was playing every time I turned on the radio. Every time I set foot in the store, I'm hearing Flowers. I'm like, somebody is getting paid like Donald Trump ways, because there is no way people are genuinely wanting to hear this song that much. Yet I still will find myself at home talking about I can buy myself flowers. So that one too, like the familiarity and the exposure, when something is constantly being put in your face, it does kind of, make that thing stick in your head and like run in your subconscious a little bit more than a song that you don't hear as much, even if that is a better song. Which, interestingly enough, I think that kind of might be a little bit of what Drake was trying to say with this whole Kendrick Lamar UMG lawsuit, like them using payola. You know what I'm saying? Like putting that song out more so than the other one, so naturally people are going to gravitate toward it. Like I get it. That was just a bad example. Um Another one, still playing off of that beef though, is like Euphoria versus Not Like Us. A lot of people will argue that Euphoria was actually the best diss track that Kendrick dropped in that beef, but Not Like Us was way easier to digest. You could do your little dancey dance to it. The lyrics weren't that hard to decipher. It was very straightforward, exactly what he was saying. And then it had like this catchy hook on it. I don't even think Euphoria had a hook. If it did, I don't remember it. All I remember from Euphoria is Crody. So, yeah. But that's another example of how a song can be an earworm, or it can be like the more popular or catchy song, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is the best song. So next, to kind of touch a little bit more on what I mentioned earlier about how we have these specific parts of our brain that like control what's going on in the background, kind of. Okay, well, there is also something called the Zeigarnik effect, which basically says that if we have like an unfinished task or an unfinished thought or something like that, our brain is going to keep replaying that thing until it resolves it. So I thought that that was very interesting. Have you ever noticed that, like, when you get a song stuck in your head, it's not like the whole song is stuck in your head playing from start to finish over and over and over. It's usually like one part of the song that keeps playing in your head, like twin, where have you been? And that's it. Nobody knows me like. Well, I'm not gonna get into all of that, but I thought that that was very interesting because it really is like our brain keeps starting the task and not finishing it. So is that part of the reason that songs stay stuck in our head? And then that kind of goes into like one of my like best ways I feel like to get a song out of your head when it's stuck is to listen to the song. And then immediately after that, play a different song. So, yeah, so when I was like looking into this to see this part about cognitive loops and how that actually makes sense, that playing the song all the way through, like finishing that loop and then moving on to something else, can actually help you get the song stuck out of your head. I thought that was cool. So next, songs that have like a strong emotional connotation with them, or songs that are related to like some sort of specific event, are usually more likely to be earworms as well. So what that makes me think of is most of our summer anthems. Like earlier, work, 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 work. You could usually remember like that summer when work dropped, what you were doing, what you were up to. Another one is Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus. I feel like most of us, like if we hear that, oh, it's a party in the USA, we have a visual of something from that time, whether it's skipping class to go to McDonald's and get like large fries and hot apple pies, whether it's spring break as on your sophomore year in college, going to the club in business casual wear, whatever you were doing. When that song came out, that's one of them that really just triggers it. It takes your mind back there. Um, so that's another like kind of psychological thing that song makers obviously have to know. Like they have to have some sort of knowledge. Maybe they don't know like all the psychological aspects of it, but they know when we drop a song around Christmas, that's a good time. People are gonna, holiday music is good. People are gonna think of this song when they think of the holidays. Or the summer is the time you need to drop your hot music, because now you have this emotional aspect of people living their best lives during summer to correlate with your song. So you see where I'm going? Are y'all following me with these summer anthems? The music industry, I'm telling y'all, is on to some things that I think I would have to get into my conspiracy bag to go like too far into that. But I really do think that it's some stuff the music industry knows and uses, and like we in the general public don't want to believe that it's true. But this is a good example of that, in my opinion. And now, if, like I said, if we were gonna go down the conspiracy rabbit hole, there are some other little things, like them saying what people adding certain drum patterns on music, or doing things with 808s and different little frequencies that you can put on tracks to make people feel a certain thing. So there is definitely some truth to that, and I think it's like very interesting. Okay, another point going off of, so our individual personalities as well, and the way that our brains work also play a role into how susceptible we are to earworms. So, for example, people who have OCD, like obsessive compulsive disorder, or struggle with neuroticism, or different things that affect their brain, um, they may be more susceptible to getting earworms or getting songs stuck in their head. So this I thought was interesting. If y'all have ever seen Jeepers Creepers, and how every time Jeepers Creepers shows up, yes, I know the song is playing on the radio right before somebody gets killed, but Jeepers Creepers is always whistling this song as well, and we don't even know if he's a man or a bird. So, sir, how are you whistling? But anyway, he's always whistling this Jeepers Creepers song. So when I was reading about this and like kind of the psychological aspect behind earworms, I was like, wow. So are serial killers more susceptible to earworms because they have something off in their brains? Very interesting. Very interesting, I must say. And then lastly, um, another thing that can cause, like, individual people to maybe be more susceptible or not susceptible to getting songs stuck in their head is your own personal relationship with music. So usually people who are more exposed to music are going to be like more open to getting earworms. There are also studies that show that people who reported being more open to experiences um are more likely to get earworms, which again, very interesting. So, do people have like weird songs stuck in their heads when they go on these ayahuasca retreats and do shrooms and stuff like that? Like, are they more likely to get an earworm? Like, I don't know. I thought that was strange and interesting too. But yeah. Okay, so in summary, basically things that create an earworm, like characteristics of a song, it needs to be catchy, it don't need to be too complicated. A simple hook. I mean, not a simple hook, but simple lyrics. Some sort of upbeat tempo is preferable, and it needs to be a banger. Like it needs to, well, not necessarily a banger, but it needs to be something that is being played a lot. People need to be listening to it. Go ahead and get that payola if your song is not good enough to get organic plays. Um, Things that can trigger, like things in us that can trigger a song to get stuck in our head, are going to be basically like what we resonate with emotionally, if we are exposed to the song a lot, if we are someone who spends a lot of our time like listening to music, playing instruments, things like that, you're going to be more likely. If you have certain psychological disorders, for lack of better word, you might be more susceptible as well. And then songs that we relate with a specific event or something like that in our lives. Um, and then last thing I want to touch on before I go, on this topic anyway, is just a couple ways to get a song out of your head once it's stuck. So one of them I already mentioned earlier is to actually listen to the song to completion, to kind of play on that Zeigarnik effect and finish the loop for your brain so it doesn't keep trying to resolve the issue of the song. So yeah, that's the first option, is to play the song. Second option is to distract yourself with something else that takes focus. Break out your Rubik's Cube, get you a crossword puzzle, some Sudoku, do something to take your mind off of the song, get your brain working. Um, and then one that I thought, oh, sorry. Other thing is to listen to a different song, replace that song with something else. And then one that I thought was very interesting. I have not tried this personally, but I will next time I get a song stuck in my head, is chewing gum. So apparently if you chew gum, it breaks up the auditory loop that is, like, I guess, responsible for a song being stuck in your head. Very interesting. Not sure how effective that is, so I cannot vouch for it. If you have ever tried chewing gum to get rid of an earworm, please drop a comment. Let us know how that worked for you. And yeah, overall, let us know what you think. Leave a comment. Let us know your favorite earworms. What's a song that was super popular and that always got stuck in your head that you low-key hated? Let us know. Let us know what you think. And we hope you enjoyed this podcast. So last thing before I go is I want to introduce you guys to an initiative called the Black Dress Initiative. That is a charity event that is run by the Junior League of the Woodlands, and put together by a great friend of mine, Tiara. So this initiative is where the advocates behind the program, the Little Black Dress Initiative. The advocates wear the same black dress every day for 5 days in a row, to shine awareness on basically resource insecurity that a lot of people are facing in all of our communities. This initiative does, I believe, specifically help families in that area, in the Woodlands area. But anything that you can do is always a great help. So every day for 5 days, they are going to focus on a different aspect of hardship that our communities are facing all over America, and kind of shed a light on it. They have donation opportunities if you want to get involved and see how you can help. We're on day 2 at the time that I'm filming this, and it's going to be 5 days. So we'll try to get this posted as soon as possible. But so far, they have highlighted issues that children in school are facing with food insecurities. You are able to donate to their initiative in order to help children who do deal with food insecurity to have weekend meals. When they go home on the weekends, they don't get free lunch and breakfast. So any donation is greatly appreciated and will be helpful to one of these or some of these kids in need. And then today, we focused on literacy and how a lot of these families who are in like areas that are facing issues like domestic violence, food insecurity, low income, things of that sort, they also have a huge problem with literacy. A lot of these children who are benefiting from things like the weekend meals programs don't have books at home that they can read. And, me as a parent, books are a part of my everyday routine with my son. Every single day we're reading. So just to know that there is a kid out there somewhere that is the age of my baby who can't get a bedtime story every night is very, very heartbreaking. So anything that you guys can do to donate, we will leave a link on this video for you to go check out the Little Black Dress Initiative and donate what you can. Any bit helps. Thank you guys. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we can't wait to see you next time. Bye.